Well, good day, guys, and welcome to week 7 of the Talking Parra podcast, where myself, Troy Warner from the Parra Cave podcast, Matt from Tate Sports Cards, and our normal host, Adam, who will hopefully making a return later in this game, just like our boys this week. Hopefully they make a return. But let's start off with the New South Wales Cup game where our boys, the Parramatta Eels, defeated the Magpies 40 points to 10. Really dominant, impressive victory. I think Matthew Komoloff, if that's how you pronounce his name, he got the early hat trick early on, and the boys led the way around from here. Been really impressed in the New South Wales Cup with Samuel Lazoo, if that's how you say the name. I think just like Hayes Perham, he's someone who's kind of knocking on that first grade spot, and if we rest some players later in the year, he definitely could be someone to watch out for. I'll go to Troy first because I think Troy watches the New South Wales Cup more than I do. What do you think of the win?
Look, to be honest, I didn't catch the New South Wales Cup at Combank Stadium on the weekend, but just looking by the results, it was a comprehensive victory to the Eels, as you said. And by the looks of it, looks like Jordan Rankin's a bit of a goal kicker. So if we ever need a backup goal kicker, fullback, 5'8", we could slot him into the team. So let's throw it over to Matt. Matt, I believe you were there though.
Yeah, I caught, I think, the last 20. I was out the back getting some signatures and photos with the boys, wishing them luck as they walked in. But yeah, it was a pretty good last 20 that I got to see. I think someone was telling me Jacob Arthur threw a ridiculous cutout ball for one of the tries. He had a hand in a few of the try assists. Rankin, I reckon he's a number 14 for sure for first grade. I don't know why we haven't played him the last 2 years. I feel like he's been knocking for a while now. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see later in the year some of those young guns. I think, what is it, after round 12? We can play the development guys. So a few of them will come in. We saw a few of them against, I think it was Penrith last year at the end of the year, make their debuts. So be good to see again. And yeah, it was a pretty good battle out there. And yeah.
Well, just in case any Para fans like myself want to get down there early this Sunday, obviously we've got this week's game against the Newcastle Knights from 2 p.m, but the New South Wales Cup side faces the Knights. They're in 8th position right now. We're in 4th, and that game will be at 11:30 a.m. at McDonald Jones Stadium. But that's the New South Wales Cup result. Let's get into the actual NRL result, which can we call it the upset of the year, boys, do we think?
Well,
Pretty early.
I mean,
pretty early.
yeah.
But
Well, look,
yeah,
the
why
Tigers
not?
were always going to win a game at some point. Unfortunately, it was against us, but
Well, I want
yeah.
to refer to Clint Gutherson. Earlier in the week, he referred to us in 2018 and our record of being that 5-0 and going into that game against the Manly Sea Eagles, picking up our first win of the season. He basically said that he was very wary of the Tigers and they were going to be desperate, and we knew what we were going to come up against. I know that a lot of, including these boys here, tipping Parramatta by 40, 50, some huge scorelines. I went with 26 to 10, a closer game than people thought. But look, let's get into our boys first. Obviously, our halves have been really dominant in the 2022 season, and I still argue that Dylan Brown was probably one of the best on the field, and I think he's probably the best 5'8", if not Cameron Munster, for the whole NRL at the moment. What did we think of the halves? Did we think Moses and Brown still stood out? I'll go to you, Troy.
Oh, look, I think Mitchell probably had a little bit of an off day, I thought, on the weekend. I mean, he obviously still set up a try for Gutho with a kick into the in goal. Missed a couple of conversions. I mean, a couple of them were a bit difficult. There was one there to get to 22-20, which unfortunately he missed. So I just think he had a little bit of an off day. Dylan, again, I think he wasn't as dominant as the previous 2 weeks, but or 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks. But he was still right there. I mean, he's already done in 6 rounds. He's done 5 line breaks, and in 2021 he did 6 for the whole year. So he's getting his groove back, and I think being on that left hand side, I think he's just being he's playing his game rather than trying to play another game. Let Mitchell do the kicking. Obviously, Brownie can do a little bit of kicking here and there. And I think, yeah, look, it was a danger game every day of the week. When a team hasn't won a game all year, they obviously want to win. The return of Jackson Hastings for the Tigers was a big inclusion from suspension, and he was in the halfback role. Luke Brooks moved back to 5'8". And look, I just think that possibly the Tigers wanted it more than Parramatta. It's obviously disappointing to lose a game like that because they're the games that you need to win. I mean, you look at Penrith and you look at Melbourne. They don't lose those games. And if we do have the credentials, and if we want to be a premiership threat, we need to win those sort of games.
Matt, what did you think of the halves?
Yeah, I thought they just went through the motions in this game. I feel I spoke to a Tigers fan earlier on in the week, and they were a bit weary. They were like, I was a bit nervous going into it, although I said we'll win by 40 or 50. But to him, he even said to me that the top teams have a habit when they play the Tigers to lower themselves to the Tigers' playing standards, which I feel like we kind of did. And yeah, as Troy said, they just wanted it more. Like Madge has been talked about in the press all day, every day this week about he might be sacked, and Hastings is a freak. He's been probably their best signing in ages. But yeah, I feel like we were missing Junior to get that roll on for Mitch and Dylan. Dylan doesn't seem phased. When you watch him on the field, he just plots around. He's just a natural. But yeah, I think they needed that loss to pretty much put a rocket up them for the up and coming weeks leading into that Penrith game.
I want to speak about Bailey Simonson. I thought Bailey, he's been up and down all year, but I thought he had a really
best
strong
game of the year.
Yeah, I thought it was his best game in an Eels jersey by a country mile. I'll get your stats up here like Ads loves to. 111 run meters, 3 tackle breaks, 1 line assist. And another player who I thought was absolutely outstanding. Now, he only ran for 83 meters, but he did have 1 line break, 38 post-contact meters, and 6 tackle breaks. I thought Isaiah Papali'i, who obviously heads to the Tigers next year, departing our club, had a really good game as well. Between these two, I honestly can't split it for my MVP for the club. Obviously, I had a Tiger as my man of the match, but as for a Parramatta player, I couldn't split it between Bailey and Isaiah. I'd love to get your man of the match, Troy, from Parramatta.
Look, I think, I think Regan Campbell-Gillard tried his heart out without Junior Paolo playing. He obviously had to stand up and take control of that forward pack, be the forward pack leader. A little bit of a concern with him with his ankle. He has been named this week, but it's a bit touch and go as to whether he will play on the weekend. But he was pretty good up until then. Played a lot of minutes. So I'll probably say Regan, I think, as my MVP for the game.
What about you, Matt? Was it Bailey?
Yeah, between Bailey, I think Opacek played strong as well.
Opacek, man of the match.
Hit-ups. Oh, here he goes. But yeah, I think Bailey played a more we saw Fergo do it. That was the reason why we signed Fergo a couple of years back. Those strong runs, those strong carries. I think he was making 10, 15 meters almost per carry in that second half. And it's probably the most he's carried the ball. He's always getting involved. And yeah, those run backs is what we need. We just need more of it coming out of our own half.
We're 6 weeks in now. Obviously, it was missed last week or the week before. I think it was against the Titans. I want to speak to you, and I've mentioned it a few times. Reed Marnie's sneaky little 40-20 attempts or 40-20s. Is the opposition starting to expect this because he's doing it so much, or do we still think that weekly it is a bold move by number 9? Let's go to you, Troy.
I think we have seen him do it in the past. I think a point where he wanted to. I don't know if. I mean, teams know that he can do it, and he can kick out a dummy half like that. That could have just been one of those kicks that just happened just to go out on the full. But yeah, I think the teams know that he can do it, but it's about when to try and pick and choose when to do it.
What do you think, Matty, on that Reed's kicks?
Yeah, I think if it comes off, we possibly go on to win that game. I think it was a crucial part of the match. We saw it a couple years back. I think Will Smith tried to get us out of our own half and it went out on the field full and St. George scored from it and won the game and we were just in front at that point. But yeah, I feel like if it came off, it would have been a totally different ball game. There was a few moments there where it could have just changed the whole game. And yeah, it just wasn't our night, and that just showed. And 9 times out of 10, that 40-20 comes off. So, and the confusion at the end, it was weird. It was like Mitch and Guffo were arguing of who was going to take the field goal. I think they were playing it to the Tigers that Guffo was going to take it, and then they told Reed to go that way, and Reed done a little pirouette, tripped over a player, and then yeah, the pass was going to Guffo, and Mitch kind of snatched it and quickly took it. But I don't know. I think they should have done it earlier if they were going to do it. But yeah, it was a weird last play.
I think if you look at the top teams of the past and even current, your Melbournes and Penrith, they've got a few options of field goal exponents. So I think in that sort of a situation, I mean, obviously Mitch is probably the number one field goal exponent to kick it. But as Matty said, you've also got Gutho as well. But you've also got.
I think
Dylan
we had
as
this
well.
conversation last night, didn't we, Hayden?
Yeah, we do. I was basically saying that Mitch knows how to kick a field goal when we're up by 30, 50, for example, in Canberra last year or against the Tigers, but under that pressure, he finds it difficult. So I was saying to Matty that I think Gutherson should be kicking those field goals. We've seen him not only as a field goal kicker, but as a goal kicker, and quite well as a goal kicker in those moments stepping up. So I think Gutherson should be kicking field goals, not from now on saying he has to be the one, but in those opportunities, I think Gutho's got to be set up better in those plays. And I think it was difficult last night because obviously the Tigers really wanted to win, and you could see just how desperate they were, rushing up on the side really, really well to stop it from almost happening, but took a shot there and missed it towards the end.
I think one thing that they can probably learn from that, and obviously they're going to learn a lot of things from that game, but is if we are playing a team and we do happen to be, 14, 16 in front, and we do get down that end, let's set up for a field goal and let's see if we can kick one. Just so you're under that match pressure, game time pressure, and just so when we do get into that situation of a 20-all score line, we can actually ice those moments.
I'd like to see Dylan have a go.
Yeah.
Everyone's had a go, so we may as well. Well, there you go, guys. For this round, we went down, Parramatta Eels, 21 points to 20. We're currently sitting in 4th position on the NRL ladder with 4 wins to start the season, 2 losses. I just want to add that the Roosters sitting in 5th, we are still 21 points scored in front of them. So, look, if we do win this week, it's pretty much secured that top 4 spot for another week. But let's get into this week.
Just another quick turning point in the match, and just showed you how hungry the Tigers were for victory. We were 20 metres out with a scrum feed, and we got pushed off the ball, and the Tigers got the ball.
In the scrum.
That was a scoring opportunity. Now, in this day and age of the NRL, how many against the head scrums?
Well, usually it's us
do you
that
see
do the
win?
push.
Yeah, so they were hungry for victory, and it just showed in that moment where they pushed in the scrum, and yeah, that was a turning point in the game too.
Matty, you got anything to add on the game?
I feel like it all to me, the turning point was at the start in the first couple minutes where they ran the round the back play to an open Will Penasini, try line open, would have strolled across and he dropped it and it went out. I feel like that if we score that, I reckon we just blow them off the park and go on with it. And then Tigers ran downfield. And there just wasn't a sense of urgency. The Luciano try, it seemed like forever before one of our players got to him. Like, I think he dragged Paul Reed holding the jersey or someone holding his jersey and then Guffo, instead of taking him up top, went down low and tripped over our player holding on. And it was all slow motion, that part. And that was a big part of the game that gave them the momentum.
Just on Gutho. Sorry, Hayden. Just on Gutho, what are your thoughts of his running battle with Dane Laurie during the game?
It was the best. It was payback from last year, but they had a running battle last year's game as well.
Gutho got it over him in the last year's game, but I think
it's good to see.
Oh, it is. It's entertainment. Maybe he just needs to choose his moments when he's going to do that, but because
and not when you're down.
Yeah, and he certainly got owned in that tackle by Dane Laurie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All I'll say on this one is the golden point curse for Entertain House continues.
You're so close.
It's getting ridiculous. It's pretty frustrating.
So
but the closest I've ever been was the Warriors and Manly last year. It's now this game. So would have been nice to see it. But let's move into this week. First of all, will you boys be there at Newcastle this weekend?
Hoping to maybe get up there,
Yeah, still working out the plans.
Undecided. I'll be going. I'll let you guys know. I won't be doing an NRL vlog this week. I'll be going with some workmates, big group of workmates. Few of them go for nights, so get it up them when we bounce back. But let's get into the team list. So Hayes Perham has been named on the wing. I thought he was fantastic when he came on the field. He was a really big impact. I think he was he in the 17 jersey last week?
16, I think.
16 or 17. He was in the 16 or 17, came 16. On late into the field. And Tom Opacek got injured, but he has been named to play for this game. Just like Troy mentioned, Regan Campbell-Gillard as well, fighting a bit of injury there. Bailey Simonson, once again, on the wing. Brown and Moses, the standard halves. Marnie in the 9. We get Junior Paulo back from suspension, which is a huge in my opinion. He brings a lot to the side, including offloads. I think there was only 2 offloads all game for the Parramatta side, and I think we normally average that. I think Junior often gets about 2 himself per game, so that's huge. Sean Lane, I think he started the year really, really well. I'm kind of surprised that Sean Lane, and I think maybe before kickoff could even be a bold prediction, that Sean Lane may drop onto the bench and Matto might actually start. I think Matto has been quite involved with the game and probably played better than Sean in recent weeks. Isaiah Papali'i, who's been very consistent. Nathan Brown in our bench. Makahesi Makatoa, that number 14 jersey really looks to be his. It kind of reminds me of Andrew Davey back in 2020, how he consistently wore that jersey number 14, Ryan Madison, who I just mentioned. Oregon Kafusi drops back to the bench in 16. And our favourite Parramatta Eels player of all time, Jacob Arthur, the coach's son, returns to the interchange in jersey number 17. Troy, let's go to you. Actually, no, we're going to Troy a few times. Matt, let's go to you. What do you think of the team?
Yeah.
And who do you think will be the player to look out for in the opposition as well while we're at it?
Oh, well, obviously Ponga, but Kurt Mann's been making a few good breaks lately. But yeah, there's a few players there that on their day will turn up and pull your pants down. But other than that, yeah, obviously your Ponga, you got to look out for him playing for a contract, game changer. But I think Bradman Best in the centers is tough to tackle. So boys will have to be on him. But yeah, interesting to see if that's the team that runs out an hour before kickoff. We'll see what comes through this week for BA. But yeah.
I might just mention on that before I get to you, Troy. On the reserves, we have Bryce Cartwright in jersey number 18, who's a huge chance of probably coming into that side, at least via the bench, potentially 24 hours with kickoff. You've also got Woodamoo Greg, who was used on the bench quite a few weeks ago, going really well in the New South Wales Cup. Mitch Rain, not much to say there. Wasn't a great performance last week, so I can kind of see why he's in that position. But I think later in the year he'll bounce back. Troy, what do you think of this team?
Yeah, look, I think it's a smart move to move Will back to his natural centre position. And then obviously the natural choice would be Hayes to go onto the wing. Probably not his position if you ask him, but he's probably just happy to play footy. Obviously being a fullback. I don't think it'll stay, particularly the bench. Look, I don't know. I don't think it'll stay this way on the bench. I think the top three will stay. I don't know if Jake will play. I think they will slot Mitch Rain into there. I was listening to the so-called experts on Fox a little bit earlier, and apparently the plan was for Mitch, and that's why Reed came off against the Tigers late, was to inject some spark around that dummy half area, so some fresh legs and some spark. So maybe we might see Mitch get that start on the bench instead of Jake Arthur. In terms of the opposition, well, I think Matty just covered it pretty well there. Obviously, Caleb Ponga, you got to watch him, Bradman Best. But yeah, the centre's duel, Dane Gagai and Bradman Best is going to be a good one against Will and Tom Opacek. Obviously, Oppa and Will have to be on their games for those two. I mean, Newcastle got a pretty handy forward pack as well with the Saifidi brothers and Tyson Frizzell as well. So, look, we've beaten them the last 3 times. The last 3 games we've played, we've beaten them. We beat them pretty comprehensively last time we played at McDonald Jones Stadium, and then obviously we beat them in the semi-final last year. But look, they're struggling. They're 2-4. We're 4-2. So they're a bit like the Tigers last week. They're desperate for a win as well. They were in the game against St. George last week, and then they got done right at the end. So they're hungry for a victory as well. So this is another danger game for Parramatta, and it's an important game because then after this we head up to Darwin with the Cowboys, and then we've got 3 really hard games coming up: Panthers, Roosters, and Manly. So it's going to be a big test, I think, for the Eagles.
It's going to be a tough game on Sunday, without a doubt. You've mentioned that the bench may change, and I probably agree with you. I don't mind this team for the most part, bar that 17 role. As I mentioned, really good to see Junior Paulo back. Parham on the wing, I thought he was a huge injection, so looking forward to it. You mentioned Dane Gagai, who's my second player to watch out for. You actually haven't mentioned him, but someone who's hitting a bit of form, in my opinion, at the Knights, and someone who really doesn't like losing. I think watch out for David Klemmer. I think David Klemmer is going to try and kind of one-up Junior Paulo this weekend, and it's going to be a big, gritty battle there in the middle of the field. Well, we've gotten through the team, but let's see who we're tipping.
The
So
hookers as well.
What was that?
The hookers as well.
The battle of Chris Randall and Reid Marnie.
Yeah.
Both in good form.
I like what I saw of Chris Randall last week. So
yeah. Well, let's move into the tipping side. Now we'll go back to you, Troy. So we often, as we do on the podcast, we go first try scorer, bold prediction, and a score for the match. And I will let you know I have got Adam's predictions because unfortunately Adam could not get Kiddo to bed tonight, so we have got his predictions to read
And
out.
how disappointed will he be not to be able to talk about this game, being a Newcastle local and a Parramatta fan? Hopefully the guys at the Eels get the win for him, and then he'll be back on deck next week, and it might be like a double episode. Who knows?
All right, Troy.
Oh,
your prediction.
sorry, mate. Look, yeah, I don't. I think it's going to be a close game. I think both teams can score points, and Newcastle are going to be desperate to win again. As I said, I think it's going to be a bit like a 24-20 sort of game. Bit of a seesawing battle, I think. I'm going to change. I'm going to change from Will this week. Yeah, I know. I used to do it with Taka, but I can't keep on doing it with Will because otherwise Will won't score any tries. So I'm going to change from Will, and I'm going to say Isaiah.
He's gone the back row.
Yeah,
the barge over.
Well, maybe not such a barge over, but yeah, maybe like a 10-meter out sort of run to get the first try. Bold prediction. Look, I said the Tigers were going to be 8-6 in front last week at halftime. I think I might stick with that with the Newcastle Knights being 8-6 in front at halftime as well, and then we'll have to come from behind to get the victory.
I'm going to read Adam's prediction here, and I'm going to mention Adam. Last week, your bold prediction was the Tigers to lead at some point 14-12. Now, Mitch a kick before half time. I honestly thought this prediction was going to come true. So close. But Adam's prediction for the Knights battle. He says that Parramatta will win this game by 34 points. So I think they bounce back quite confidently. He's gone with a scoreline of 44 points to 10. He's gone with Hayes Perham on the wing to score the first try and score a hat-trick. He's gone with 3 tries for Hayes. And his bold prediction is for Parra fans to dominate the stands. So more Parra fans to turn up at Newcastle.
I don't know if that's really a bold prediction, though, because they've got a great following away games. So I don't know if that's too bold, to be honest.
Yeah, mate. Step it up next week, ads. Matty, let's get into your prediction. First try scorer and bold prediction.
So first try scorer, I'm actually going to go the opposite wing and get Bailey. I think it's just going to be a sweet play either way, whether it go Hayes' way or Bailey's. I'm going to go 34-12, Parra. And my bold prediction is that Dylan Brown will get 3 try assists.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty bold.
My bold prediction was going to be that Dylan Brown records 2 try assists, but I'm not going to do it now because he's one-upped me. All right,
he's trumped him.
All right, let me say this. Why did we have to lose the West Tigers? Because I was going to tip the Newcastle Knights here, boys. I've been keeping this secret for a while. The game I had circled, as Troy, you'd know Matty too, but we have a horrible record at McDonald Jones Stadium, a horrible record at the Knights home ground. It will be close, and I was so tempted to go against Parramatta weeks ago. before, I think it was after we beat the Storm, I said, this game against the Knights, danger game. We lose that after 4 wins in a row. That's not the case now. I think we bounce back. I agree with Troy. It's going to be a close game. I'm going to go 18 points to 20. I'm going to back Troy's boy, Will Penasini, to score the first try of the match. I think that
You might get it right, mate.
And I wasn't going to do this, and I'm being thrown on the spot. But I'm going to say my bold prediction for this week is similar to the Tigers game. I'm going to say we concede from both wingers. David Nofaluma and Ken Mamalo scored last week off try assists, and I reckon Jake Clifford or Adam Clune could do the same with Edric Lee and Nanare Tuala. So Parramatta by 2, but I think that both wingers will score for the Newcastle Knights. Has anyone else got anything to add?
No, I think we've possibly covered it all. As we said, it's a shame Adam's not here to talk about this game, but hopefully he's back on deck next week. We miss you, Ads, and back on deck next week to talk about a victory. So being a Newcastle
Absolutely.
local.
Well, let's let everyone know where we can find each other. Troy, obviously the Parra Cave podcast available, if I'm not mistaken, on Spotify and iTunes.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple, Google, pretty much anywhere you can find your podcasts from.
Yep. Tate, over there. Tate's Sports Cards over on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook.
Make sure you go and give it a follow if you love your sports cards. And obviously our page, the Talking Parra podcast on Instagram. I will try and leave a link in the description for everyone's pages as well. But we've made the conversion. We've got the Spotify in the comments section. This video has obviously been a premiere. We've pre-filmed this and we've made the transition to video now. So a weekly podcast. And Adam will be back absolutely next week for our game against, you mentioned it earlier, the Cowboys.
Cowboys in Darwin.
Cowboys in Darwin. Wow.
Well, fantastic to have a chat as always, guys. Obviously, follow their channel. Subscribe to this channel if you are new around here. But I hope everyone had a ton of fun. And go Parra.
Go Parra.
Go Parra.